Hi, and welcome back to Awfully Quiet. I'm in a little bit of a new setting. I've got my sofa chair delivered, and I wanted this to create a little bit of a different mood, and really wanted it to feel effortless, like with a little flower next to me, a little bit of a vibe. None of that is effortless. I'm going to tell you as much as that. I always thought about these podcasters who sit down for a casual Sunday and a self-reflection type episode. And it always looks so effortless. And it's just not to me, because there is so much that goes into sitting down, getting the lighting right. The flower looks kind of staged here. There's kind of flowers and some color to one side. And then there is a very white blank background on the other side. So, we're still figuring it out. But I'm glad I made it here. And I want to talk to you about something that feels like it fits this kind of vibe of something that's still in the making and something that I'm thinking about. And it's the direction of this podcast. And I shared this with you a couple of episodes ago at the beginning of the year, that I've been thinking about, where do I want to take this podcast? I've been doing this for 2 years. And the brand marketer in me wants a refresh, right? Wants a little bit of a sharper positioning. Like, who is this for? What do I want to achieve? What's the objective? How do I really position this in a way that it lands? And I've been overthinking it, as I always do. I've dropped the intro, I've dropped the music that I selected and chose 2 years ago, because it didn't feel right anymore. But I have not really come up with a new version of that, like the new music, the new intro, like what I want this podcast to say, how I want to set the stage and the scene for each episode. But that's okay. I realize that sometimes it takes a little while for things to sharpen, and you need to sit with them. And so I sat with some of these things, and some of these things are really uncomfortable. And the first thing I sat with was the fact that I never really talk about this podcast in the real world, right? I spend so much time recording these episodes. If you think about it, publishing an episode every single week for 2 years, I spend a lot of time doing this. This is what I think about a lot. And yet I never talk about it in real life, not at work, not in social settings. And I had this awkward conversation sometime last year where somebody at a networking type thing, they knew I had a podcast but didn't quite know what it was about, and they asked me about it. They were like, I heard that you have a podcast, what is it about? And I was taken aback, slightly unsure what to say, how to articulate it, because I never really do. And so I ended up saying it's a career podcast. I talk about career growth for introverts, and that felt really, really bad, icky. It didn't feel right. It felt like career podcast wasn't really doing it justice. It was more meaningful, deeper for me. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. That's what Spotify says. It's a career podcast, honey. What do you want? What's the problem? Why can't you talk about this out loud when you keep talking about these topics into a camera each and every week? You have conversations about this on a podcast, yet you can't really have a conversation in real life. What's the point? And so that's the first thing that I sat with. And I came across this question prompt that asked, if you were at a dinner party, how would you describe the podcast to somebody else? What would you say? Now, first and foremost, and we already established that, I wouldn't, right? I would talk about anything else other than the podcast. But if somebody really were to ask me, what is this about? What are you talking about? Why do you care? I would probably start with why I felt interested and intrigued by this in the first place, right? And what I'm really interested in and obsessed with, almost to a point where it's a little geeky, is this sentiment of inward focus versus outward focus, right? There are two different kinds of people in the world. There are people who focus on the outside world. And this is where they go to for inspiration, for motivation, for energy. And this is who Carl Jung, back in the day, this is who coined these terms of extroversion versus introversion. This is how he describes extroverts. He says that extroverts pull from their external world for inspiration, for energy. They fill their social batteries by having conversations, by being around other people. And then there are these other types of people who have an inward focus, and they focus on the inside, on their inner world for inspiration, for motivation, for energy. They do not refuel their batteries through conversation. They refuel their battery by spending time alone, by themselves, by thinking, by reflecting, in that blissful bubble that we often talk about. Because this is who I am. I've got that inward focus. I am one of these people who could happily stay in that bubble for days. Like, I wouldn't get bored. I wouldn't get bored just being with myself, with my own thoughts. It's a perfect place to be. Now, what's often difficult for these people who have this inward focus and who Carl Jung describes as introspective is to translate some of what's happening on the inside for the outside world, to bring it to life, right? To talk about a thought that they have inside, to talk about a perspective, to talk about an idea, because it doesn't really translate. It's not that we think about it in language. It's not that we think about it in something that we can perfectly articulate. It's not that we really draw energy from that conversation. It's just that the thought feels brilliant. It feels so good. But then when you try and bring it to life, it feels kind of flat. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't land at all. And sometimes we don't even try to articulate it, right? There are people with that inward focus who do not speak up in the first place because they know how hard it is, because they know it's probably not going to land. And then the career advice that these people get is you need to speak up more, you need to be a little louder, you need to present in front of audiences so that your inner world becomes visible to others as well. And this is what we talked about the past 2 years. This is what felt meaningful. And this is where this really is about careers, right? This really is about, this is a career podcast. But at the end of the day, if I were to describe this as career advice for introverts or helping introverts navigate the corporate workplace, it would feel flat for me. Because the reason why I care so much wouldn't fully come across in that. And the reason why I care is because I think that in our world, what stays hidden inside, what doesn't make it out into the real world, into the external world, I think it goes far beyond a thought that you could potentially articulate in a meeting. I think it goes beyond that because there's ideas that get shaped. There's perspective in there. There may be business ideas. There may be, creative endeavors that we have on the inside that never fully make it out into the external world. And that is the tension that really drives me. Like if I think about some of the people who I really admire in this world, are people with that inward focus. Are authors who spend most of their time glued to their desk writing, right? And then they put something out into the world that becomes an articulation of that. It's an expression of that. The book that we can all read. And this is how they've brought their inward focus, their internal world, into the outside world. It's the same with musicians, people who make music, people who write songs, right? They come up with these lines at 3 a.m. with that, and then, light bulb moment. And of course, I'm talking about Taylor Swift. Who else would I be talking about? I also have this when I watch a series on Netflix or I watch a movie, I will always look up who is the producer behind this series? Who is the showrunner? Who is the writer? Like for The Summer I Turned Pretty, for example, I looked it up. It's like Jenny Han. And I'm like, oh my God. This woman is so, so cool. Now, I didn't know her to begin with because she's not on screen. She may not be front and center in all the Instagram snippets and the reels. But she, to me, is the creator of this show. She's the mastermind. She is the person with that inward focus who brought something to life that is so culturally relevant and really touched us all, like multiple generations who kind of rallied behind this all summer long, didn't we? I get goosebumps talking about things like that because I admire that so much. People who have that rich inner world and who find an expression and an articulation of that lands in the external world. That's what I want this show to be about. I want this show to offer a quiet way to loud career results. And what do I mean by loud career results? It could be anything, right? It could be the book. It could be the music. It could be the art. It could be the promotion. It could be the job. It could be so much more than just speaking up in a meeting, than, making sure that senior leadership knows about you. And I feel like if we don't do that, some of these ideas stay hidden forever. Some of this inward focus never fully makes it out. And it's lovely for us to have that. I don't want to argue with the fact that we can all enjoy that inward focus by ourselves. But if you are somebody who has an idea or who might want something, but you're not really sure about it yet, you want a door to open for you, or you want to go after an opportunity that you don't quite dare say out loud yet. And you're looking for a way there. You're looking for a way to express what feels powerful and meaningful to you on the inside in the external world. Then this is what I want to bring with this podcast. This is the type of conversation I want to have here. This is what I want to share from my own journey and from my own struggles, but I also want to bring in guests that have managed this, that have brought this to life. Hell, maybe we can have Jenny Han on the podcast, who knows? But this is who I want. This is who I want to reach. This is who I want to have on as a guest. This is the conversation. Bring that inward focus out into the real world. Find a quiet way to loud career results, whatever that result is for you, whatever that thing is for you. I want us to take that inner world seriously, like seriously to a point where we see how much power it holds. And we make sure it sees the light of day. I love that. And it feels meaningful to me. I feel that in my body right now. Let's have a ball, and I'll see you next week.